Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video, and today's video is featuring a topic that many of us knew had to happen, but a lot of us right here on the channel started to think it wouldn't actually happen, people. And yeah, well, of course we're here to talk about the biggest and breaking news out of Rangers Football Club, as Rangers and Giovanni Van Bronckhorst have parted ways. The manager is gone, and so hopefully is the poor performances. So people, it's fair to say that this video is actually pretty big. I haven't done one of these types of videos in a very long time. Of course, the last managerial change we made was a manager leaving on his own back to go down to England, and now he's sitting at the job centre. So it's a weird place to actually be at right here on the channel, because the last couple of times I've been absolutely infuriated with the Martys, the Pedros and everything like that. And now we're here with Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, a man that I have the utmost respect for and still do have, despite everything we're going to talk about in today's video. I still have a lot of respect for this man, and I'm still very thankful for what he was giving us in his year and the tenure. And I feel like that's important as well, because yes, there is lows, and we're going to go ahead and discuss that. But before we go any further on or anything like that, I just want to say a wee thank you to Giovanni as well. We all know personally the last year was a real struggle for me. There was a lot of things gone wrong, and some of the highs that he was given under his tenure was so damn important to me, especially the European run, man. Some of those European nights, the goals, the feelings, the celebrations with friends, family, whatever, random strangers you saw and you were celebrating with. These are moments that will live with us forever and getting us back to where we belong in the Champions League for the first time in 12 years, winning us the Scottish Cup for the first time, and donkeys and all that as well. There is things there and there is moments there that I will be thankful for, and that's why I want to pay respect to the man. Not only was he a fantastic player, but he had fantastic moments as a manager. However, again, it wasn't the full picture. It didn't work out. And I know a lot of people are questioning him, roasting him and everything like that, and mocking this team and everything like that. But for me, I don't think we make a European final without Giovanni as the manager. I know we're doing a lot of revisiting and looking back at Gerrard's time and everything like that, but I don't think we make the European final if Gerrard didn't leave to go to Aston Villa. I think it was almost a perfect marriage of Gerrard and Co's, Michael Beale's and everything that's physical, the way we put ourselves through pre-season, all the double sessions, all the double runs, building that monster, and then you had Giovanni coming in with his tactical tweaks in European football to get us over the line. It genuinely was like a perfect marriage, people, but unfortunately, like most marriages, people, it doesn't work out. It had its moments. It started off very brightly, but it fizzled away very quickly. Now, if you're watching today's video as a newlywed, I'm not talking about your marriage. Your marriage is going to be fine. Honestly, I wouldn't worry about it. But all joking and all that said, I just wanted to pay a bit of respect to the man in that as well, because again, he didn't come here with the intention to fail, and him and his staff around, they tried their absolute best. It just didn't work out, and again, we never saw it going this way, but that's alright, people, you know what I mean? We didn't have mystical powers, we're not wizards, we didn't see into the future. We hoped, we prayed, but it didn't come to be. So I just hope wherever Giovanni goes with his staff and all that is successful, and I'll be certainly wishing him all the best. But now let's get to a couple of reasons why I feel like it was the right decision to actually make, because I know there is some people that don't think it is the right decision. You just have shouted that at me over the last couple of weeks, but I'm going to explain and break down a couple of key reasons why I think this had to happen, and obviously I'll be looking at the future and all that as well. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the first talking point, which is of course going to be none other than the injuries. And injuries have not only been an excuse that I've seen a lot of, not in terms of the channel and everything like that, but in terms of the Rangers board. That is the excuse that they hid behind when they allowed our season to continue to slip and with points flung away and poor performance, horrific performance, worst performance. We hid behind that excuse and allowed their season to continue to absolutely self-implode, and for me that isn't good enough, and that as well. But I've voiced my opinion on that and why I think the board's let us down this season and all that as well, not only in terms of financials, but allowing this to continue to the way it's actually went. But I want to talk about the injuries, right? Because on paper, if you look at it, 11 first team players injured is going to affect any team, right? Any team's going to struggle in certain games when you've got that many first team players out at the club. So yes, there is sympathies there, especially when you look at our European campaign. We finally go back to the big dance, people, and then we lost 90% of our regular starters. It was an incredible European journey that saw some of us genuinely go out there and play with boys that I never knew who was going to play the next game. We were playing the likes of Liverpool, the Ajaxes, the Napolis, with a centre mid at centre back, an 18-year-old, a boy who could play 50 minutes in his knees before having to get subbed off. It was crazy, some of the things we had today with a midfield that was 876 years old, right? So I understand the injury certainly played its part in the really horrific European campaign, and again, I can accept that. Where I can't accept it, people, is when we look at the domestic level, because you look at the starting 11s that we were putting out here, people, versus the likes of the St Johnsons, the St Mirrens, the Dundee, the fourth in the Championship, Dundee. People, you look at our budgets and the wages we're paying out on these players and those starting 11s versus their tic-tac budgets and everything like that. It's simply a disgrace to even try to say we're missing a player or two. Our 11s that we were putting out against these teams, people, are more than enough to actually put them to the sword, but they looked flat, they looked unmotivated, and they looked absolutely clueless, and more importantly rigid in a formation and a style of play that is long figured out by the low block defensive-minded managers in this league. So that's where I get my issues. Yes, European football, we can use the excuse and I can talk about it and say, right, yes, that played its part in. But when I'm looking at this, people, I'd be embarrassed to actually try and blame it, honestly, because if you look at one of your players is getting paid more than their entire team, is that what we're going to actually start today now? Especially if you look at European football with the excuses that Giovanni came out and said, we can't compete or anything like that. Well, the same mindset should have been in Scottish football. We should be walking over these teams, but we've done anything. But I mean, we have walked. We're certainly not running. We're not the physical side that we are. We've done a lot of walking, but we've not put the ball into the back of net, and we're not dominated sides for a very long time. So I just wanted to voice my opinion on the injuries. Yes, that could be one of the reasons why it's went is by that, but for me, in my opinion, our starting 11s in domestic leagues have been more than enough, and we've spent more than enough on it to be able to get results from the likes of St Mirren's, St Johnsons, the Livingstons, and again fourth in the Championship, Dundee. We were absolutely horrific that day. I know we won it 1-0, but we were absolutely stinking, and it's been there glaring us in the face for a long time. And that leads me even to last season, people, because the European highs really gave us something and really papered over the cracks. It's now completely crumbled this season, because even if you look at my videos last year and about some of the points we flung away, especially away from home, because under Giovanni it was horrific. I mean, you'd be quicker on one hand counting how many good performances we had away from home under Giovanni than actual bad ones and trying to flip it that way, people. Honestly, it's rare to think of a good away European performance. We just never figured out how to play against the low block, and that was gone last year when there wasn't this ridiculous injury list. They were shining warning lights right there, but again, the European lights, which was just a little bit brighter, sort of blinded us and kept us from actually seeing it. And that's where I think, people, we haven't adjusted, we haven't changed, and we haven't learned our lessons from last season's mistakes, and that led us to this season where again we never had the European lights to blind us from how poor we were actually playing. But moving away from the injuries, because that's only one pillar that I want to talk about, because I want to talk about the next one and how we actually look and operate and approach games as a side, because that for me is directly under Giovanni's management, right? Because again, he can't control injuries, can't do that, but he can control how we go about our business, he can control how we train, and we control how we prepare for a season, because look at what we are right now. I mean, I don't even feel like I need to kick the tyres that much here and tell you how bad we are and how drastic we have looked from where we were 6 months ago to where we are now. It is absolutely night and day how poor we look as a side. The physicality, remember the high press, remember when we used to be the fittest team statistically in the league? We used to run teams off the park, non-stop running, 80th, 90th minute, we're still galloping. We've got boys in the 119th minute, we had Lundstrom running down the wing, and in the 119th minute sprinting by boys. We'd run teams off the park, they couldn't get near us. Back to back 120 minutes, there was nothing that could stop this Rangers team in terms of going this way and going that way. And then, like that, people, we came into this season and we have looked slow, passive, and genuinely clueless, and that shows you the importance of a pre-season. That's why you hear managers, when they sign somebody and they miss a pre-season, they talk about they need a pre-season and judge them after a pre-season. We now get it, people, because we've seen how we've operated under Gerrard and Michael Beale, etc., for years, and how important those pre-seasons were. Then we had one pre-season under Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, and his coaching staff, and look at how much this team actually changed. Again, we've heard from Scotty Arfield, there's a lot more on the ball work, not as much physical. We had to do a lot of the fitness stuff on their own time, and it shows. People, we are an absolute shell of ourselves. And again, that's where I look at the injuries and like, no wonder people are breaking down. If they're used to such a physical regimen and being this and this and this, then they're coming in, we're so lackadaisical, all we want to do is pass it from side to side, we're not running, we're not sprinting, we're not grinding or anything like that. No wonder boys are breaking down, people. We haven't looked anywhere near the standard of what a Rangers team should actually be. And again, that for me is directly under the management. That it has been his choices, that has been his decisions to overhaul this team from what we were, a physical, demanding side, to a more European side who's very comfortable in the ball. He wants everybody got rid of boys, it's defenders like a Balogun and all that. Even McGattage for his head. We didn't want any of the boys. We want the boys that can play the European style, who can take a nice wee touch. It can pass here, it can pass here, can keep it rolling from side to side. We didn't want to be sprinting. We didn't want to be in people's faces anymore. Gio wanted this side. We'll wait and we'll just control the tempo of the game. Now, what happens when we lost control of the game? You know exactly, we had no plan B at all. It was all about that, and for me, that is one of the main reasons why he is currently unemployed right now. The way he approached and changed this Rangers team and how we operated and looked. And it's ironic, people, because that's one of the few changes he actually was willing to make. He was willing to change us from what we were, physically demanding side, to this, what we've became this year. But he wasn't willing to change his tactics. It wasn't clearly working. I mean, it took him 3 months and was it 14 conceded corner goals before willing to change from the zonal marking style to do a bit of zonal and a bit of man marking. That's worrying itself. And I said that for weeks upon weeks upon weeks on this channel. Even at the start of the season, I was like, why are we not changing it? But we waited and we waited until there was severe pressure on his job before willing to accept it. And that was the only give that he gave, because he wasn't willing to change his formation that was well figured out. When you've got the Martindales, when you've got the Robinsons, when you've got all these boys at the end of the game saying, yeah, we knew exactly how Rangers would be. We've prepared. Attack the 6-yard box with 3 centre-halves and just wait for the crosses. That's embarrassing, people. But again, it was that stubbornness that has led him to where we went, because he wasn't willing to change it. He wasn't willing to change from plan A. Plan B was just to do plan A better, and again, he fell on his sword. And if you remember a video, what was it, 4 months ago, 5 months ago, I can't remember exactly when it was, I actually said one of those, I've actually seen it now on social media, because again, everything is getting clipped, but one of them was pretty much saying, I hope Gio doesn't fall on his sword and he's actually willing to change this, because it isn't working against the defensive sides. And he just wasn't, people. And again, that's his decision. You can be annoyed at the board, you can be annoyed at the players, but that was his decision to stick to that formation, not change or tweak anything, no matter the actual results and no matter what we were told in pressers and all the cheerleading we actually heard. Nothing, none of it happened. It was the horseshoe, and that was it. And that for me is the biggest reason why Giovanni's time at the football club is now over. That unwillingness to change, the stubbornness in his view of how football should be played, despite everybody else seeing it wasn't working. It's like that meme, you know what I mean? See, when he's sitting there drinking his tea saying this is fine and everything's on fire. That's how I'll remember the last couple months of Giovanni, because he just wasn't willing to adjust or throw a plan B in, and it was plan A or bust. And it's bust, ladies and gentlemen. So, before I give you my overall thoughts and opinions, just to finish up today's video, I do want to just briefly say, because I know I've kind of talked around the players and everything, and I know they're just as responsible for a lot of these things and how poor they've been, and they've really let themselves down in games. But again, I'm here to react to the news that Giovanni has been sacked, so I've been kind of focusing on it. I know how poor these players have been, but now they have been unleashed from the horseshoe shackles, ladies and gentlemen, and they now, in the next game that Rangers play, have to come out there looking like a dog that's been let off the leash at a park, because there is no excuses. Again, I believe that they've been bogged down as well, and they've felt like how we've felt, that they've not been happy with how things been going, and they've looked unmotivated. But how many times have you said, just to your pal, your family, your dad, whatever you've been talking to, you say, these players just, they look like they're not even motivated at all. There's nothing in there. Well, now our new manager's going to have to come in, and there's absolutely no excuses for the players to play like that. There is real talent in this Rangers team. I know we didn't like a lot of them of that right now, but there's genuine talent in this Rangers team, and now there's absolutely no excuse. There's no tricks for the circus. I want to see these players being unleashed again and being the players that we know that they can actually be. But aye, they've been very, very disappointing. But we'll speak a bit more of that in a future video. This is about Giovanni. And saying that though, now that Giovanni has lost his job and the staff has lost their job, I do believe there also needs to be another player losing his job. And again, you never want to be cheerleading and saying, oh, somebody needs to get sacked or anything like this guy, because you didn't want to see somebody losing their job or anything like that. But as I sat here and said months ago, if Giovanni does lose his job and all these other staff members have lost their job now, then they should be joined by Ross Wilson, because he is the director of football. If it is a 50-50 split, if he handles the contracts, if he handles the renewals, and if he handles all this, then that is a team effort, right? That's what we get told. It's a team effort. Well, Giovanni has just fell on his sword. Why hasn't Ross Wilson? If it's a team and it's 50-50, they've built the team that's failed. He's oversaw all the changes as well. So for me, in my opinion, it should have been them both, and we need a clear out at that just to get a bit more sun in, because what we've tried today hasn't worked, ladies and gentlemen. So that's just my thoughts and opinions. I'd like to know what you feel about that. I just feel like if we're sacking the manager and the director of football and all this stuff is the way it is these days, then it should be them both, because they've both failed in my personal opinion. I'd like to know your opinion. Again, just let me know what you think about Giovanni and that as well. I know some people won't be happy with everything I've said in today's video because they feel like the injuries is why Giovanni's lost his job, and that's fine. If you feel that way, shout at me and everything like that, but just for me, I've voiced my opinion. I agree with the decision. I feel like it should have happened a while ago, ladies and gentlemen, not only with the disappointing draws or the loss of the St Johnsons or anything like that, but see the way we've looked against Celtic, especially at Parkhead. We're looking beat before a ball's been kicked. That's something that I stopped getting used to seeing under Gerrard, because you can say what you want about that lad and you say what you want about Michael Beale, but every single time an Old Firm came around, we put a tackle in, we ran ourselves, and we treated it like an Old Firm game. At Parkhead and everything like that, we have looked beat before a ball has been kicked, and that happened twice, people. Once is unforgivable. Twice is unimaginable. So that's just my opinion. It's been long overdue. Again, I didn't want it to happen when he was here, and I was hoping and praying and clinging on to everything that he was going to turn it around, but he didn't, and a lot of that is his own fault, in my opinion, by unwilling to change, and how he took our team, saw our team's strengths and turned it into our weaknesses to try and play his style of football. But that's what I've got to say about the decision. What about you? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the comment section below. And of course, where one door closes, people, another one open. So if you are still watching today's video, who do you want to see be given the mantle next as Rangers manager? Let me know your thoughts and opinions. I'd love to see how you think we need to go. Again, there's no right or wrong answers. I will be back in a couple of days to discuss some of them, but I would just like to know right now, who do you want to be seen given the Rangers job? It would be very interesting to scroll down and see where everyone's head is actually at. But aye, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, as always, I've been Giovanni 2. Thank you so much for watching. All the best, and bye-bye.